Hello folks, and welcome to the final part of my playthrough of Talamander, a fantasy gamebook magazine, Raiders of Fang Mountain. Now, as usual, I'm not going to be playing all the way through this game, but we are going to play through a little bit more. I'm the Lone Adventurer. Thank you very much for stumbling your way upon my channel. Let's get straight to it. If you haven't watched the other parts in this series, I'll pop a link to the first video up in the corner of the screen and down in the description below. If you have watched the most recent part of the playthrough, you will know that we were travelling, or our hero was travelling through the woods, sort of came across a troll of some kind who encouraged us to go back onto the path. We went back onto the path and we've just spotted some men, 3 men, burly men no less, who are trying to get a wagon out of a pothole. And we had 3 choices. Will you walk up and offer to help, stay where you are and watch, or head into the forest and try and creep around? Now, I popped a poll up on my channel on YouTube and a whole bunch of you responded, and unfortunately it was a draw. It wasn't a clear winner for any of these options. We definitely won't be heading into the forest and trying to creep round them. I think there was a general consensus that that was a dull thing to do, probably. But in terms of walking up and offering to help, or staying where we are and watching, they got the same number of votes. So I think I'm going to stay where I am and watch what they are up to. So we need to turn to 92 for that one. Their leader, a thin-faced man with uneven eyes and a scar running from his nose to chin, barks orders while the other 2 toil and curse, struggling and failing to move the wheel out of its current predicament. Then their leader spins around and looks at you, his eyes wide. The other 2 drop the wheel and draw their swords. Uh-oh. You are about to draw your weapon when you feel cold steel pressed against the small of your back. Don't, a voice whispers in your ear. Turn to 293. Maybe we made the wrong choice. You are marched towards the wagon and the 3 fearful men. At the last moment you are pushed by rough hands and you clatter into their thin-faced leader. "Watch it!" he shouts as you step back with as much dignity as you can muster. The men from the wagon have gone pale and you turn to see the hostile group. Orcs. A sizable group, easily 20, spread around the wagon in a half circle, looking grim-faced and ready for a fight. A warband. Their chieftain steps forward and addresses the 4 of you. His skin, like the rest of his clan, is hued a regal blue, and he has no hair, but 2 pointed horns on the top of his head that twist unnaturally upward. He is heavily armoured and carries 2 thick-looking swords strapped over each shoulder. "You know us. We have no quarrel with you or the raiders you trade with, but," he growls, "my son is missing. I know not who took him, but my people are scouring the forest as we speak. Whoever has him, whichever group took him, they will burn for this." He turns his head and looks at his warband. "Search the wagons." The 3 men scurry to one side, not wishing to cause offence or get in the way of grief-blinded orcs. You are not so quick and are knocked off your feet by an armoured beast who looks more like a troll. You pick yourself up and say nothing. They are ruthless and efficient, opening everything, displacing the many trinkets stored for trade, then packing them back away neatly. Some might say better than before. That's nice of them. Bit strange. Within minutes the orcs return to their leader, who addresses you and the 3 men once more. "If you know where he is, If you know anything, if you find him, he looks at each of you, one at a time, straight in your eye, then steps back into the forest. Then the rest follow him until only one orc remains. He steps forward and hands you a conch shell. Our chieftain sees your grief and understands. He knows you will help. If you find the child, blow into this and we will come. He steps back, and then he too is gone, swallowed by the forest. Silence. You turn to face the 3 men and their 2 wagons. Somehow, in the search, the orcs have pulled the wheel free from the rut it was in. Excellent service they provide. You didn't see them do it. The 3 men look at each other and then at you. Just one question, the thin-faced man asks. Who the bloody hell are you? Add conch shell to your backpack. All right, and then we need to make a decision about what we're going to say to these guys. You don't know anything about these men. Will you tell them a lie, tell them the truth, or ask them who they are? I'm going to ask them who they are. I don't like these guys. I think they're douchebags. 48. We're the magic fairies of Fang Mountain, the thin-faced man says, and we bestow wishes on all the good boys and girls who join our happy wagon train of joy. The 2 other men look at each other and sigh. Jealous continues. I guess that's his name. We didn't find out his name, but he's jealous. This is a dangerous place, and you come waltzing up to our wagon and start asking us questions. Think again, friend. You go first. Will you tell them the truth or tell them a lie? No, I'm going to lie to them. Still don't like these guys. 117. You explain that you're a travelling merchant heading home to Edrich from Winterheart when you were attacked by a troll and escaped into the forest. You thank the gods you found a group of friendly faces. We ain't going to Edrich, so you're out of luck there, the leader spits. That's our destination. He points to Fang Mountain. So take your conch shell and bugger off. The group turn their back on you and make their way to the wagons. Realising the awkward position you put yourself in, you shout after them. They turn and you apologise for lying. Turn to 118. Sorry, not 118, 188. You tell them about the raiders and what they did to your family. You explain your desire for vengeance and the search for your father. The trio look at each other nervously and shift uncomfortably. When you've finished, the first of the group steps forward, a bear of a man with a bald head and thick, bushy beard. We're very sorry for your loss. We've heard tales of what the raiders get up to. I'll be honest with you. We've not seen it ourselves, so we've turned a blind eye. Our trades with them have been profitable. He seems at a loss for words, then turns to the thin-faced man. Jalos, he says, I cannot in good conscience carry on in this line of work. I will serve out my time with you in this latest trade, but then I will seek employment elsewhere. I wish you both well. Jalos sneers, revealing uneven yellow teeth. One sob story and you're off. Don't forget why you do this, Dran. It's good money. Money for your son. Gah! He realises too late a line has been crossed as a thick fist crashes into his temple, knocking him to the ground. Dran, the bear of a man and owner of the thick fist, glowers down at him. It's because of my son that I'm leaving. This is wrong, as well you know. He turns to go. Travel with us. When we get to Fang Mountain, I'll cause a distraction and you can sneak in when they're not looking. I hope you find the answers you're looking for, he says solemnly. Jalos wipes blood from his chin, then sits up. Betraying the raiders for a stranger? If they find out, they'll kill us all. Then you better hope they don't find out, Dran retorts. In the silence that follows, the third member of the group steps forward, slightly older than the other two. He's in his mid-50s, although still sporting a thick mane of black hair, which is tied in a ponytail, and wearing a ramshackle collection of rusty old armour. He calmly introduces himself as Taplin, as if the last few minutes had never happened. Dran and Jalos take a wagon each, coolly ignoring each other. They sit up top and coax their bored-looking horses forward. Taplin walks alongside, and you fall in with him. Okay, so I can ask him about the encounter with the orcs, stay silent, or ask how they got trading with the raiders in the first place. Right, I think I might ask him about the encounter with the orcs, because that did confuse me a little bit. 170. Taplin isn't much of a talker, but he answers your questions, mostly with a simple yes or no. But when you mention the missing orc baby, he frowns for the first time and gives you the longest answer yet. That's a nasty business, and likely to cause someone a whole heap of trouble. I mean, who steals from the orcs unless they want a war? He looks out at the forest as if he's being listened to. Best to have nothing to do with it. Don't get involved with those blue-skinned animals. His last comment surprises you, filled with venom for a seemingly mild-mannered fellow. There's more to Taplin than meets the eye, and you don't like it. You decide to keep your own counsel, and as the afternoon draws to a close, the two wagons pull over to rest the horses. Turn to 78. Fang Mountain is only a few hours away, and you're impatient to move on. But the horses need rest, so you sit down with the group in a grassy clearing, just off the main path, as they eat their dry rations. Dran shares his with you, prompting a scoff from Jalos. Restore +2 health. Do I need that? Yes. Yes, I do. So it takes me back up to 13. The meal over, Taplin stands and stretches, then frowns quizzically. Is it me, or is it getting darker? A shrill whinny from the horses warns you all in time. A dark shape, nearly 3 meters high and made entirely of rippling mud, rises menacingly behind Taplin. 2 yellow eyes glare malevolently at you, and a hideous maw grapes open, revealing jagged tombstone-like teeth. Mud wraiths, and there are more of them, rising all around you. I've got a picture of one. I told you everyone is out to kill me, Jalos screams as he draws his sword. You draw your weapon just as a dark shape rises in front of you. Bestiary bonus applies. I'm assuming that's something that I don't have. Pretty sure I don't have that. Mudwraith, attack 7, health 6. If you win, you see more rising from the ground. Okay, so we've got to beat the Mudwraith. Right, so I roll 2 dice, add on our attack advantage. Ooh, that's low. Well, couldn't get much lower, could it? Right, so that's 12, because we're adding on an attack bonus of 10. And the Mudwraith, 6, 7, plus 7, 14. So the Mudwraith hits us in the first round. Don't think I have any armour or anything. Do I have my merchant's garb? But I left the armour behind that I found earlier. Although that only helps you in critical strikes. Right, so that's going to take me back down to 11. And let's attack again. Really? Double one? Double one, double one. Wonderful. So that gives me 12. Oh, I might have beaten him though. Because that's 7 plus 5 is 12. So that's a draw, isn't it? That's annoying. Okay, but at least I didn't lose any more health. So so this is for me. Bit better. 9, so that's 19. And for the mud wraith, 7 plus 7 is 14. So I hit the mud wraith, and I'm using my rusty sword, obviously, which gives me +2. So that is a total of 4. Mud wraith has 2 health, so that means the mud wraith has got 6 health, which means that it has 2 health remaining. That was for me, so that's 16. And for the mud wraith, there we go. 3 plus 7 is 10, so I win that bout, killing the mud wraith. Taplin is making short work of the wraiths surrounding him, and is clearly an experienced swordsman. Dran, while not as skilled, is swinging a large claymore through the ranks of wraiths and keeping them at arm's length. Jalos, on the other hand, is hiding under one of the wagons, poking a sword out at an advancing mud wraith while shouting obscenities at it. Will you run to the aid of Taplin, Jalos, or Dran? Well, I feel like Jalos hasn't really given me any reason to help him in any way. Taplin is experienced. Dran is giving it a good go, but is the less experienced swordsman of the two. So let's go to Dran's aid. 2-1-1. Come, fight! Dran grins, and you join him in the fray. Okay, so we've got mud wraiths. I guess I'm fighting multiple mud wraiths now, but it looks like it's just being treated as one. So attack of 8, health of 6. So this one's a little bit better, I guess. Here we go. This is for me. Oh, God, I'm rolling some rubbish rolls. 3, so that gives me 13. And, oh, that's 10 plus 8. Plus that is a critical strike for the mud wraith, so that is pretty bad. I think that means, does that mean double damage? Yeah, so I'm taking 4 points of damage there. All of a sudden, I'm feeling a little bit not well, because that's going to take me down to 7. Yeah, 7. Getting low. Now I have got a couple of health potions, which I can use for +4 health, if it comes to it. Right, let's try that again, shall we? This is for me. 7, so that gives me 17. It's +10, isn't it? Yep, 17. And then for the mud wraith, 8 plus 8 is 16, which means I am hitting the mud wraith. I'm doing 4 points of damage, taking it down to 2 health. Hopefully this one will finish him off. 7 plus 10 is 17. There we go. And that's for the mud wraith. So that's 4 plus 8 is 12, which means the mud wraith is defeated. If you win, you all but collapse in a heap. Everyone looks exhausted, and the wagons and your companions are all covered in streaks of mud. Taplin is trying to brush it off his armour, while Dran simply shrugs and heads back to the wagon. Jalos, crawling out from under a wagon wheel, looks like a muddy ghost. What did you do, Jalos? Eat your way through them? Dran laughs. Jalos shoots him a look but says nothing, hatred burning in his eyes. Wow. You are about to join them on the final leg of the trip when you spot a green liquid dripping from a plant at the edge of the clearing. Taplin catches you looking. Sap, he says. Sorry, not you. Sap from the plant. Come on. Will you investigate or follow Taplin? So I suppose that's investigate the green liquid or follow Taplin wherever he's planning on taking us. I'm not really sure where Taplin is going or why he wants us to follow him. Let's turn to 2, 2, 1. We'll investigate this random green liquid that's caught our eye. It's not sap, it's blood. Orc blood. You step closer and catch the distinctive coppery tang. There's a trail of blood leading into the dense vegetation. You can't see too far in, but whoever went this way is wounded. You hear Taplin shout as the wagons are slowly heading north once more. Will you join them before they move out of sight? Turn to 215 or investigate further. Oh, so this feels like a real crossroads. I either stick with the crew or investigate the blood. Oh, that's a tricky decision. I feel like I was just getting on the good side of the crew. I want to look at the blood. I want to find out what's going on with the blood and whether it's related to the child, the orc child. Okay, let's investigate the blood. 302. Should I be taking one of my health potions first? I think I possibly should. So we're going to be turning to 302 in a second. We're going to use one of these health potions. I can rub that out. And that's going to take me back up for 7 plus 4. So it's going to take me back to 11. Alright, that feels a little bit less shady. Right, was it 302? Immediately forgotten. Yeah, 302. Is this the orc baby? You don't know, but you feel compelled to investigate and at least try and help reunite a child with their parents. You don't want them to experience the pain you feel. Someone pushes through the greenery from behind and lifts a branch out of your way. Hey, Dran has come to save the day. Thought you could use a hand, says Dran. You smile and thank him. The other two are noticeable by their absence. Roll 2 die. If you are equal or under your perception, turn 2, 3, 3. So my perception is 7, so we've got a moderate chance. Oh, well, there you go. I've been rolling double ones all day, and now we roll 9. That's a shame, isn't it? If it's over, turn to 240. Looks like we've got another fight on our hands. A silky spider's web as thick as your arm spirals down and wraps itself around your leg. You draw your sword and quickly cut it free, but not before the web starts to smoke and partially burn itself through your clothes. Lose 2 health. Ugh, like acidy spider web. So we're going straight back down to 9. Starting to feel a bit more dangerous all of a sudden in this game, which is good. Looking up, you see a nightmarish creature suspended from the tree above. It has a body shaped like a chrysalis and the head and arms of a mutated insect. Let's have a look at it. The pupate lies in a sling of silky webs, waiting for unsuspecting creatures to walk beneath before catching and devouring them. You narrowly missed being lunch. Dran hefts his claymore and you draw your sword. Pupate, attack 8 and health 8. All right. Here we go. My attack first. Oh, that was low. Okay, so that's 14. And that's 8. 16 for the pupate. That's irritating. Alright, so that's going to take me down to 7 again. Lucky I used that healing potion. Right, let's try again. 6 for me. Why is it always so low? 6, so 16. And then for the pupate, that's more like it. So that's, where's the pupate? 8, 13. So that's me hitting the pupate. Pupate is a weird word. The more you say it, the weirder it sounds. So that's taking the pupate down from 8 to 4 health. Alright, this is me attacking again. 9, 19. That's more like it. And for the pupate, 6. So 8, 14. So that is me doing an additional 4 health, which kills the pupate. If you win, turn to 37. The lifeless body of the pupate falls to the ground with a crash, its chrysalis body bursting open on the floor below. Watch where you step, Dran warns as the blood fizzes and pops and burns into the ground. You hear a groan, and looking up once more you see a man-shaped cocoon dangling from the tree branches, green liquid dripping between the strands. You found the source of the blood trail. Dran braces the bottom of the cocoon, and you climb up and cut it free. Carefully easing it to the ground, you gently cut it open and free a badly wounded orc. You recognise him from earlier. He gave you the conch shell. "It's you," the orc wheezes. "You must act quickly. I was following the creature that took our lord's son, but was caught by the pupate." He coughs, and green blood flecks his tunic. "Blow the conch. I'll tell them what happened and send them your way. But you must go now." The orc looks in no state to be getting worked up, and you put a calming hand on his chest. "Please, the cave's to the west. It's in there. It has the babe." With that, the orc falls unconscious. Dran checks him over and starts to bind his wounds. He never told us what took the baby," Dran says. You take the conch shell from your backpack and blow it. No sound comes out, and Dran frowns. "Did that work?" he says. You have to hope it did. Leaving the orc propped against a tree, you make your way west to the caves. After a few minutes of pushing through vines and brambles, the forest opens out into a clearing with an enormous rock pushing up through the grass. Within the rock are two naturally hollowed-out cave entrances. You listen but hear nothing. The larger of the caves has dried blood at the mouth of the entrance, but it's not human or animal, not orc. Okay, all right. Ended on a slightly confusing phrase there, but I guess the blood doesn't belong to any animal or human or orc. Will you take the larger cave or enter the smaller cave? Well, I think we're going to have to leave it there, folks. So if you want to find out what happens, you're going to have to get yourself a copy of Talamander, Raiders of Fang Mountain. And I don't think that's particularly easy right now. Unless some of the backers of the Kickstarter are thinking about selling their copy, there's no copies available. But there is a Kickstarter coming potentially later this year. So if you hunt down Tim Brown, who created this little game, you can find him on Instagram. If I remember, I'll leave a link in the description below, but there's definitely a link on part 1 of this playthrough. If you follow him, no doubt you will hear when he is doing the Kickstarter for part 2 in this series, number 2, issue 2. And when he does that, he's going to reprint a second printing of Raiders of Fang Mountain, so you'll be able to get your hands on a copy of this as well. I think it's a fun little game, really retro, really old school, really evocative of fighting fantasy game books and other adventure books of the 80s. So support an independent creator. If you enjoyed that and thought it looked fun, then think about backing the Kickstarter when it comes about later this year. I will no doubt update on my channel and on my Twitter when that happens. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more adventures just like this one, do consider subscribing to my channel, hitting the bell notification icon, and I will see you next time. I'm the Lone Adventurer. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.